this webinar, we're going to be talking about common obstacles and creative approaches to meeting the housing needs of people who have been incarcerated. This is put on by Homebase, which is a TA provider. And in particular, it's coming from Homebase's Criminal Legal System Initiative. My name is Mihir. I work on the Criminal Legal System Initiative, and I'm joined with some of my colleagues from Homebase, Michelle and Vanessa. Okay, so some logistics for today. Closed captioning is available. So if you look at the bottom of your Zoom screen, you can show captions by clicking on this CC button over here. You'll be able to use the Q&A function right down here in order to ask questions of us or some of the panelists. And if you need any technical assistance, you can also get that by asking questions in the Q&A. Through the chat function, you'll be able to see messages from us at Homebase and from the panelists. And we just want to remind people that, we know this is kind of a heavy topic. And so we encourage you, if you need to take a break and step away for a moment to allow yourself to do that. Some resources for the day. We are recording this event. And so after the webinar, we will send everyone who registered a link to the recording and a link to the slides in this presentation. And you can email us at any time if you have any questions about this content or any other topics related to housing and the criminal legal system. Our email address is right here. It's clsi@homebasecc.org. Okay, so a little bit about us. Homebase, again, I mentioned we are a technical assistance provider, and our mission is to build community capacity to end homelessness and reduce poverty, and to foster thriving, inclusive communities. And housed within Homebase is our Criminal Legal System Initiative. And we seek to improve outcomes for those impacted by the criminal legal system, decrease system involvement through housing solutions, improve public safety outcomes, and reduce strain on public resources. Some of our areas of focus include cross-sector workshops and fostering partnerships, visioning, planning, troubleshooting, and implementation, curated tools and resources for people in housing or in the criminal legal system, and peer-to-peer learning and community building. You may have heard that our criminal legal system recently released a report called No Bars to Home, Meeting the Housing Needs of People Impacted by the Criminal Legal System. And this is a report that documents the housing barriers faced by people impacted by the criminal legal system. The report features 9 community programs from across California that successfully and creatively meet the housing needs of these populations. And 2 of the community programs highlighted in the report are going to be speaking today. In the report, we describe 5 elements of successful programs. And those are center people with lived experience in all stages of programming, incorporate trauma-informed design principles, lower barriers through responsive programming for unique subpopulations, build transparent cross-sector partnerships, and respond to intersectional challenges. So our agenda today is we're first going to be hearing from San Diego, California, about the Community Care Coordination Program. We'll hear from Becky Jester, who is the Executive Director of the program, and we'll hear from Dominique Lucio from the Office of the Public Defender in San Diego. They'll be speaking about their programs and effective collaboration between housing, legal, and law enforcement partners. Then from Oakland, California, we'll hear from Lau Family Community Development. We'll hear from Kathy Chow Rothberg, their CEO, Mike Quach, their Director of Programs, and Carl Phillips, who's a former participant in the program and now a navigator there. And they'll be telling us about building cross-racial and cross-cultural relationships to better serve communities. After all of these presentations, we'll have a healthy amount of time for some Q&A. And again, feel free to type any of your questions throughout the webinar in the Q&A box. We'll be monitoring that and make sure that there's time to get those answered. And so with that, we'll start in San Diego with Dominique Lucio from the Office of the Public Defender.
Good morning. As we said, I'm Dominique from the Public Defender's Office in San Diego County. Our unit here is called the Holistic Services Unit, and it's comprised of mental health clinicians, substance use assessors, and housing navigators. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about how our office receives referrals and then how we connect to programs such as Community Care Coordination or C3. Next slide, please. In 2019, our office received a HEAP grant that was able to fund 2 housing navigator positions. The position was created to hopefully better navigate housing resources for our clients that were homeless or at risk of homelessness. Both of our navigators have several years of experience serving the community, and our mission is to advocate for our clients' most basic right to access housing. When we first got the grant, we weren't exactly sure what the program would look like, but we've been able to really build it from the ground up of how we wanted to better help our clients that we saw that were experiencing homelessness for many, many years. Next slide, please. Some problems that we face, which can be hard for a lot of individuals, but we find that our clients have an extra layer of barriers. One thing is lack of funding. Most of our clients don't have a steady job or might lose their job when they come into custody. They also have a hard time holding jobs because of mental health diagnoses and substance use issues. If a client does have SSI, typically it gets shut off while they're in custody, so they can't get it turned back on until they're released. So we don't really have any funds that we can help secure housing or a rental or something like that. Oftentimes our clients' criminal history has been a barrier. We see many charges such as arson, 290 or sex offenses, elder abuse, serious violent felonies, or producing meth in government housing as some of the issues that we've faced in trying to secure housing for our clients. We also have seen a community fear of working with our clients. Some places have just been hesitant to even have a conversation with us once they hear that the client is currently in jail or working with our office. Also, we find that there's limited access to vouchers that are in the community. In San Diego, a lot of the vouchers are matched through Clarity or the HMIS system. That has not been easy to navigate for our clients because they're often ineligible due to being in jail or because of criminal history. And then also there's a state guideline by HUD that says if a client's in custody for more than 90 days or in an institutional setting, they are no longer considered homeless. So they often become ineligible for those vouchers until they're back on the streets. Next, please. Some solutions that we have found over the past couple of years, the biggest thing we find is education. We want to eliminate any stigmas that would inhibit providers from working with our clients. Our team is constantly building relationships with community programs to try and make direct referrals to services when possible. We always are looking for alternate resources. Our team is constantly looking for new resources and funding to assist our clients find housing. We attend community meetings and discussions to keep up to date on what is available. Advocation. We fight for our clients' needs and advocates for why our clients need housing just as much as any other individual. We want to ensure that none of our clients are denied help because of their criminal history. And then access to funding. We actually want to prove with our own data that our team could benefit from some type of short-term or rapid rehousing type funding to help house our clients immediately from jail. Next, please. So this is just our referral process. All of our referrals are in-house. A client will be assigned a public defender, and then the attorney will decide if he or she sees more needs for the client, such as mental health needs, substance use needs, or housing. They will refer it to us and we'll consult with them. We then go meet with the client, get the client's input and their goals. We want to make sure that they're on board with the plan because we don't want to place them somewhere and them not be successful. And then we explore resources such as shelters, independent living, sober livings, family and friends, or programs that provide case management and long-term support in the community. We don't have the opportunity to keep working with them once they're released, so we really want to make sure that resources are in place. And then communication is key with the clinicians on our team and the attorney to make sure that the plan we're creating for housing matches what the court is looking for, and then also setting up the client for success. Next, please. Some resources we use: short-term solutions or shelters, crisis house, rapid rehousing if the client's eligible, hotels, case management services. Some long-term solutions are independent livings, recovery residences if the clients have some funding. Sometimes clients have payees and we can kind of get that set up ahead of time. Staying with family or friends if that's an option. Sometimes we do get referrals for clients that are out of custody that we can kind of just send resources to. So if we can, we'll help them apply for any vouchers if they're eligible. And then we do refer to some more long-term programs such as community care coordination, or we call it C3. There's also a veterans C3 and a C3 straight to home, which is for individuals with high medical needs. And we are always looking for those programs that we can directly refer, since our clients tend to have less options. And we have found that that has just made connections for the client and once they're released, more successful because the program is either coming to pick them up directly or we can take them over there and they don't hit the streets, they don't become homeless again and then have to figure out where are they going, things like that. So we've had a lot of success with referring to C3 and their programs. Next, please. We just like to make sure that when we're getting a referral, it's the best fit. Sometimes a client might have more mental health needs than we can support them with in the community. So we just make sure our attorneys know what we can and can't help with. Next, please. Here's some of our goals over the next couple of years. These are just personal goals that we have. We hope to have our own funding that can benefit our clients for housing. That we could directly set something up that they could exit to right from jail. We also hope to hire an employment specialist so that we can connect clients with job training and jobs from custody. And then we really want to keep advocating over the next couple of years for vouchers and housing guidelines for individuals that are exiting prison or jail to make sure they have opportunities for housing just like everyone else. Next, please. We're here to help as housing navigators. We believe every client has the right to fair housing. We're passionate about helping our clients and continue to have great success in meeting their needs. We're constantly striving to grow our resources and knowledge to provide the best help possible. We want to assist in whatever way we can to ensure our clients don't have to sleep on the streets. Over the past 3.5 years now that I've been in this position, we've learned a lot. We realized that one size doesn't fit all for the people that we are trying to help. A lot of the systems that are in place just don't work for everyone. So we are constantly thinking outside of the box, collaborating with whatever programs that we are able to, and trying to help each individual from a whole person approach. Everyone has a different court case, everyone has a different background and history. So we want to include all those things to make sure that that person can be successful. Next, please. This is our team. 2 of us hope to grow. Next, please. That's it for me. That's my contact information. If you're in San Diego and want to talk more, or feel free to reach out. Thank you so much.
Great, thanks, Dominique. And again, people are free to put their questions in the Q&A, and we'll have some time in a bit to get to questions.
Awesome, thank you. Good morning, everybody. My name is Becky Jester, and I oversee a program here in San Diego called Community Care Coordination, or C3. Next slide. So C3 is, so there's three C3 programs. They're all funded through the County of San Diego Health and Human Services Agency, their Office of Homeless Solutions. And PATH is the contracted service provider for all the C3 programs. So the original C3 specifically targeted individuals who are justice involved, have a serious mental illness, and are currently homeless or at risk of homelessness. Then the second program that was created was C3 for veterans, which also targeted individuals that are justice involved, but were also veterans. And then, as Dominique mentioned, our C3 straight to home program is kind of the catch-all. So that program is able to work with individuals with complex medical needs, chronic health conditions, developmental disabilities, traumatic brain injuries, really any additional impairment or barrier that would make kind of reacclimating to the community or getting housing a little more challenging for those individuals. I'm going to go ahead to the next slide. So the C3 programs are all different. However, they're all kind of follow the same model. And the way the programs are set up is that they're comprised of different teams, and each team has a clinical case manager and 2 peer support specialists. So we really strive to incorporate people with lived experience, whether that be justice involvement, prior homelessness, mental illness, some sort of lived experience to be able to contribute to not only the lives of our clients, but really help shape the program and the work that we're doing. All the teams are supported by clinicians and housing specialists. And referrals are received through the office that Dominique works for over at the Public Defender's Office, and also through the Sheriff's Department. So all of our clients are in custody at time of referral. So our teams will go into the jails, meet with clients, do assessments, and really kind of try and have everything in place for that release, and then provide 12 months of care coordination, service navigation, and housing assistance once someone is released from custody. So we will do everything in our power, and we're pretty good at it at this point after, almost 4 years of making sure there's some sort of immediate housing solution so our clients are not exiting to the streets. So that may look like independent living facilities. Occasionally we use motels, trying, reunify clients with families, but we're always having some sort of option so that no one is discharged to the streets. One of the things that make these programs really wonderful is our access to flexible funding. So we are able to provide clients to pay for their housing while they're in our program, to make sure that they have clothing, food, transportation, really tenancy support, any other identified needs that our clients have. We are able to really provide those while they're in their program, which can make all the difference. None of our clients will, go hungry or, not have clothing, anything, we're really able to provide it based on that client's unique needs. For clients that might be looking to get into employment, we're able to, purchase them new clothes and not just have to use donations, although PATH has a wonderful donation closet, but we're really able to purchase those new clothes, which mean, so much to this population. Next slide. So in all of our programs, we're really trying to stay true to the housing first model. And this can, have some challenges in a, limited housing market, and with clients that do have various challenges from substance use or, severe mental illness. So we're providing that immediate access to housing with no preconditions. So clients, all they really have to do is want to participate in the program. We are connecting them, driving them directly to that immediate housing option once they're released from custody. This does take a lot of advocacy with landlords and property managers because they're not necessarily able to meet with one of our clients before they're in the community. So they're really relying on that relationship that they have with our housing specialists, in our case managers and peer support specialists that they build over time, to really trust that we're going to put a client there and we're going to continue to be there to support them, kind of regardless of what may go on there. We are really looking for client choice, and we're really, big on self-determination and letting clients have a say in where they're going. And that's not necessarily possible when they're in custody and we're looking at things in the community. So the way we do that is through housing assessments and really trying to assess what the client's needs are. Are there certain areas of the community that they don't feel safe, or maybe they had prior gang involvement that they don't want to return to? So we're trying to gather all of that information so that we can make the best determination for them once they're released. And like I mentioned before, we don't require our clients to participate in mental health or substance use treatment. If that is a condition of their release or of their probation, that is kind of where the advocacy piece comes in, and that collaboration piece that I'll talk about in a couple slides with probation, with court, with the client. Again, we really want to provide individualized services. So we're providing whole person care. We're not just addressing housing. We're not just addressing their justice involvement. We're really, wanting to expand their social support system, connect them to positive resources in the community, trying to get clients, connected to mental health clubhouses, employment, various things that are really going to support their overall well-being and not just kind of target specific areas. The program is designed to be 12 months in length, but again, we want to be individualized to every client. And so there are times when we have to extend that, especially in this housing market. Clients aren't able to be maybe matched to a housing resource or have the income to pay for their housing independently once they graduate from our program. So there's times when we do have to extend them over 12 months in order to continue working on that financial independence in order to maintain their housing. We definitely do not want our clients to return to homelessness once they're exited. And so if they're not able to financially support themselves, we want to continue to try and find ways for them to be able to do that. We also use persistent engagement. So we are constantly looking for our clients if they go missing. We do multiple in-reach meetings in the jails before a client may even enroll in the program. It may take some time for them to build rapport and to trust us in order to agree to enroll. So we'll continue to meet with them as long as they're willing. And then assertive outreach in the community if we can't find a client, if they leave a housing placement and they're unsheltered, we will continue to look for them, work with outreach teams in the community to locate them and hopefully re-engage with them. Next slide. So kind of some housing pieces. The way we're really able to do this is because we have a variety of housing options. So we have a wonderful team of housing specialists at PATH San Diego, but we have, particular housing specialists that work within each program. And so we have a wide variety of housing options because there are times when, we may have to move clients. We might have to move clients several times for different reasons. And so having a variety of resources is super important. We're also trying, having the housing specialist allows them to prioritize those landlord relationships and improve advocacy, while it allows the teams to really focus on the client's needs and kind of separates the two a little bit. We work really hard to identify housing resources for our PC 290 arson registrants. Kind of some of those clients that Dominique was mentioning are more hard to house. And so we're not able to actually typically do those through like a coordinated entry system or through a voucher. So it's, again, being creative and trying to find various landlords who are willing to work with our population and kind of take a risk sometimes and let the client prove themselves to them, regardless of what might be on their background. We do use market rate units, SROs, apartments occasionally, as well as our coordinated entry system based on client needs. We will always put our clients into the coordinated entry system, but because of, they're like Dominique was mentioning, being in custody for over 90 days, various resources or various kind of barriers, also just the number of clients that are in there that need to be housed, at least here in San Diego. So we're kind of all in, right? Like we're not going to just put our eggs in all in one basket. We're going to try everything to see kind of what fits and what works out best for each client. Next slide. So the other important piece is this collaboration. So obviously collaboration is critical between like our program staff, the housing providers, but also the justice partners. So our probation officers, parole agents, any community providers like medical and mental health providers, really from the start. And oftentimes we kind of find ourselves as the kind of intermediary between maybe probation or public defender's office and the mental health piece. And so we are kind of the center of the hub, kind of coordinating all the people around us to make sure the client has the services that they need and everyone's kind of able to stay up to date as needed based on each client's, various situation. It's really important. We try our best to include clients in conversation, especially when it comes to justice partners. We really want to make sure clients are aware and one, signing releases, but also oftentimes in the room with us when we're having conversations with probation or parole. That can be really scary for them. They don't necessarily feel comfortable having this outside person talking to probation for fear of what we might say, but it's really important that the client's there, that they're a part of the conversation, and that they also get to see us be their advocate and can see how it's helpful actually for us to be having those conversations to be able to advocate for them. We also find if there's family or other informal support systems involved, we want to get them involved in that communication going, because the client isn't going to be in our program forever. And so if there is someone else involved, such as a family member, the hope is that they'll able to kind of continue the work that we're doing and assist that client as needed. Maybe follow up on appointments or different things once that client hopefully graduates from our program. Next slide. So specifically with justice partners, so when we first got into this work, it can be very confusing, the justice system. It's its whole kind of own ecosystem and world. And so trying to really understand it, we really rely on the experts. So we've built relationships with the sheriff's department, with the public defender's office, and we'll call them often, if we have questions or aren't sure of something, or what does this court order mean? Because they're the experts in that field, and then we're the experts in homeless services and the social service piece. So in San Diego, we have, there's different local collaboratives or different, resources. Here we have the reentry roundtable. There may be something in other communities that is a way to meet other providers that are working in this space in order to start building some of those relationships, even if it's just to ask questions. One of the things that was really important for us was establishing a process for when a client is rearrested. So a client being rearrested is not a disqualifier or affect their program participation, as long as they'll be released, within, 3 months. They can always be re-referred. But we wanted to figure out, how do we know when a client is rearrested? And so that was something that was really important for us, is to access individuals at the sheriff's department and come up with a process, and also know, in San Diego, it's an easy website where you can search your client's name and it'll tell you if anyone is in custody. So that was really important for us to kind of embed into our process when we lose contact with the client, is check the jail to see if they have been rearrested. Again, just communication. I think that's kind of the main theme, and in those relationships. So in custody staff, if the client is working with a clinician or a counselor in custody, to be able to get information. Oftentimes those clients are in custody more than they're in the community. So the people in the jails may know more really about our clients than we do, especially at first. So really establishing that line of communication, trying to gather information, either pre-release or post-release at times, in order to kind of really understand kind of the whole picture of our client and what's really led to their arrests. Again, probation and parole. This is where advocacy comes in. Being able to, be on the side of the client. And oftentimes probation is willing to work with us because they know that we are in much more frequent communication with our clients than they are. So they enjoy them being in our program because it's easy for them to, if they can't get a hold of them, they can, a lot easier get a hold of one of my staff, and they're able to kind of keep up with them that way. And so we're able to kind of work together. I hate to say like good cop, bad cop, but it's really more of a collaboration and like a team, and really like us both kind of coming alongside the client, understanding that we both have different roles, but we have the same goal. And then again, the public defender's office. So not only do they send us referrals, but when a client is rearrested, oftentimes we don't necessarily know what that means. How long are they going to be in custody? Are they going to be released soon? Is this a new charge? There's just so many different questions that can come up. And so by whether it be the client's public defender themselves or just through the relationships that we have with the referring party, we're able to kind of gather that information so that we know how best to help the client. So if they're not going to be released soon, then we know we should wait to identify that next housing placement, or we should move their belongings out of their current housing placement. So by kind of having that open communication and building those relationships, we're really able to spend our time more wisely and really use our time effectively with our clients. And I think, is there one more slide? Nope. Okay, awesome. Yeah, so my contact information is here as well. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks so much, Becky and Dominique. As I mentioned, we'll have some time at the end for some more robust Q&A, but Michelle, I think, do you want to ask some of the clarifying questions that have come up in the chat?
Yes. First of all, thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Dominique and Becky, for your presentation, and to the folks joining us as participants. We've got a lot of really good questions, and we'll be directing a lot of those at the end of this, but just a couple of clarifying questions. Becky, one question was, if your program is only for people leaving jail, or does it also serve people who are leaving prison?
We only serve people that are leaving one of the San Diego County jails.
And then question for both Becky and Dominique. There was a request for resources. If you have printable resources, things that could be shared out in the community, if you know, if you have something like that, potentially you could share that with us and we can send it out at the end when we send the PowerPoint.
Yes, I do. I can send that to you, Michelle, and you can send it out.
And then one more resource question for Becky. You talked about being able to check to see if the client has been re-incarcerated. And I'm wondering, there's a request to see how to share the resource of how you do that.
So that will depend. I don't know if that person put where they are living. So I can share where it is through San Diego. It's through our Sheriff's Department website. So if you are not in San Diego, you may have to look up your own Sheriff's Department or your own kind of system and see if you have something similar. I don't know, but I just know for San Diego.
Terrific. Thank you. Okay, I think all the other questions that we've been getting are a fair amount of substantive questions. So we'll be taking those at the end. One other, sorry, just a reminder is that yes, the webinar will be, the slides will be shared, the recording will be shared, and we will make sure that you have contact information for all the panelists as well as for Homebase. And so with that, I'll turn it back over to Mihir.
Great, thanks, Michelle. Now we'll hear from Lau Family Community Development in Oakland, California.
Hi, good morning. Can you hear me?
Yeah, thank you, Kathy.
Okay, I'm Kathy Chow Rothberg, Lau Family CEO, and I have two of my staffs with me who are also going to present. And I have Mike Kwok, who's our Director of Programs, and then we have also Carl Phillips, who is one of our graduates of our Care Campus AB 109 program. He's on staff with us as a navigator. So to begin, I think it's really important for me to set the context of who we are in terms of our mission so that you can understand that we stay focused on the mission in terms of our work for serving returning citizens. Now, Family started about 43 years ago, and we believe that a community should work for everyone. Everyone should thrive, especially those who are most vulnerable and who are impacted by structural issues. And so for us, we serve individuals like returning citizens. We serve individuals who are disabled, individuals who don't speak English, individuals who are domestic violence victims, who are trafficked, they're labor victims. They don't have all of their citizenship paper and their rights to be able to work. So we serve populations, children, coming out of foster care system. They live in public housing. So these are individuals who have high vulnerability. And we focus on helping them to secure income, because we believe that people need income and they need wage in order for them to build savings and to have wealth. And we focus on providing housing for them, because we not only want them to have a room to live, an apartment to rent, but we want them to also have a home to own. So these issues, to advance them in terms of our mission to self-sufficiency, they need economic mobility, they need money, they need card, they need, we're trying to help them so that their kids can graduate from college. They can have a retirement, and they can have family vacations, they can have a car. So pretty much a middle class status is what we're trying to do for all of our customers, including our returning citizens. So in order to do that, they have a lot of needs. And so the needs means that we need to have staff when it's returning citizens. When we first started, we started off as a refugee organization. Refugees experience homelessness. They don't have a home. They have to start their life brand new, learn a new culture, new language, new system, political, educational, health, financial systems, their community, and to navigate their community, whether it's the healthcare system, a school district, the university system, the legal system, the family justice system, family support, family law, court. So all the different intersections of need. So that means that our staff, yes, when we first started, we serve now 31,000 people a year. We deliver service in 35 different languages. When we first started, we were a refugee organization. So we were people from the hills in the mountains of Laos. So these are the Hmong people, the Mien people, the Lao people, Lahu or Khmu. And then over time, because of war in different parts of the world, we were helping refugees from Vietnam and Cambodia, Eritrea, Ethiopia, now Afghanistan. And we've always helped Americans, US-born Americans, but interestingly, in the last 10 years, our American-born population now is 50% of our customer base. And so that's 31,000 people a year. Approximately 10,000 people are eligible for our case management services. And then the other 21,000 are not, but they still get service from our organization. So having strategic partnerships is really, really critical. Lao Family has an operating budget of about 25 million. So that's about 65 contracts that we execute on behalf of the government to serve our people. So that means that our strategic partnership includes all the family justice centers in the 3 counties that we work in, all the district attorney's office, the public defender's offices, the probation departments. We partner with a lot of legal clinics, private pro bono, and then also nonprofit legal clinics. We have to have partnerships with community colleges and the school districts because of education. And then we also have to have partnerships with all the WIBs, the workforce development, and weaves, organizations that basically serve shelter services and food services. And because we're responding to the need, and the need of the returning citizens is intersectional. And let me just say that, we've been around for 43 years. So all these relationships, cross-cultural relationships, cross-system relationships, was not something that we developed like in the last 1 year or since we started doing work in serving returning citizens back in 2016. It actually evolved, and we have over 1,000 partners. And I absolutely insist on MOUs. Lao Family insists on having MOUs and operating agreements, even if they're non-financial exchange. It clearly spells out who we are, what we stand for, what our value is, and what we're doing together here. And it holds each other accountable to the customers that we're serving and the funders that are our partners. So to respond to the need, we need intersectional partnerships. So we need to be strategic in developing those partnerships, and they're dynamic because people retire, people die, people move, people go somewhere else. So without having that MOU and the operating agreement, you have nothing because the person leaves and then all the relationship goes. So it's really important to have things that are written down so you hold each other accountable for the delivery and for the outcome. You're going to see the slide when you get them, but there are some partners that's actually not on the slide. And these are cross-system partners. And what I'm going to share is that the majority of our partners for our housing are actually private landlords. We have over 100 landlords we work with. Yes, we work with nonprofit landlords, nonprofit developers, but the majority of our landlords, 90-something%, are actually private landlords. And we work with private landlords, and we work with sober living facilities. We work with faith-based landlords. We work with the broker industry, the hospitality industry, the corporate property management industry. The reason we do it is because when it's government housing, public housing, or nonprofit affordable housing, there is no preference for any population. They can't make adjustments to their credit, their income requirements. But what we have found that when we work with smaller mom and pop properties, or else a property management group that might have 10 properties or etc., we can negotiate on behalf of our customers. We also do master leases. Yes, we also do master leases. We'll master lease a property, and we have paid for like $25,000 to $50,000 blocks of rooms at a motel. Or we have Airbnb. We have partnership with Airbnb, but we primarily work with landlords, private landlords. You're not going to see that we have a lot of clinics. Federally qualified clinics, community clinics. We have a lot of institutions that we work with that provide mental health services and social services, 12-step programs. So we work with residential programs as well, but Law Family really focuses on interim permanent housing. They come to us, they can live with us, up to 12 months. And during this time, they don't pay for anything because we have others with the sponsors. We have master leases that sponsor. So this is the pathway, and Carl lives at the care campus, and this is a 3.5 acre, 285 room former Motel 6 that we were able to purchase. We were actually slated. We were supposed to get one of the largest home key awards in the state. But what happened was, we realized after we submitted our application and we had our pro forma, and then they wanted us to change our pro forma. And then we ended up having, basically our budget went from $32 million to $64 million. And then we had a 20-year operating deficit from the new pro forma that they require us to do. So in the end, we actually declined the money, and we ended up purchasing this. We borrow money from a special tool from the U.S. Treasury Department that was passed to us, a bank. Only 2 banks in Northern California got it. And so that's what we secured the funds. We put down 20%, and then we borrow 80%, and we were able to purchase a $25 million property that we use 100%, for interim permanent housing for both AB 109 customers, as well as Oakland's homeless that were in the encampments that were test piloting. But our program that we've designed, for this returning citizens, it was evolved from the way we serve refugees and housing for refugee population. And our model of this interim permanent housing and permanent housing in the last 6 years, we've actually have been able to help 4,500 people, and that translates to 1,502 households to move them each. It took us about 30 days to 6 months to move each person into permanent housing. And for this campus, for the returning citizens and that Carl will speak about, we had about 132 people that were in the program, and 75 graduated. So we have a 57% rate of permanent housing. The rest are not done yet. And then we had another program in Sacramento, and 12 units, and we were able to graduate 98 households into permanent housing. So you're going to see that this is sort of a complex roadmap, but it spells out all the workarounds that we had to create. Both Dominic and Rebecca spoke about all the different issues that returning citizens have, and we had to create a lot of workarounds for all those issues, and in order for us to serve them and get them into permanent housing, to have income. And one takeaway that I like to share with you for our returning citizens program, for the housing employment programs, the day you enter our housing is the same day that your exit plan is in place. And if we can't create an exit plan for you, we won't enter you into the program yet. You're still in the pipeline to get into the program, but we're going to do more upfront for the job readiness to make sure that you have the jobs, that you have the income, so that when we enter you into the housing, we're going to be able to exit you successfully in 6 months or less. So it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. But, we have a lot of partnerships, and we've been able to do it. So our outcome for our returning citizen program is basically to reduce recidivism, to reduce rearrests, it's to reduce homelessness, and to achieve self-sufficiency in 6 months. And we've been able to do that, but it's a lot of hard work. And our care campus over there in Oakland, we have about 25 staff on site. So housing navigation, we do all the work on site. We have the job center on site. We have the clinic on site. We have the substance abuse on site. We have the high school diploma on site. We have all the housing staff. Everybody's on site. And then we bring in a lot of partners. So we have a lot of rooms for our partners for them to have their service over there, and the probation comes as well. So I think, am I up in terms of my time for the other people, for Carl to speak about his live experience. Is he next?
Yeah, Carl is next. If you want to have him speak now, if you need a minute or two to wrap up, that's fine.
Okay. So, I had my here just put this slide, but you'll get our slide and you'll see all the cross sectional partners. And, I'm happy also to take a call, or, you guys can contact me. Everything that Rebecca talked about, everything that Dominic talked about, we do the same. And there are some things that I really see that Rebecca is doing that I think that like some persistent like contacting that we can do to improve our program. But we're really happy to, to support our other partners throughout the state, because our issue that we have is a national issue of recidivism and rearrest and homelessness. And so anything that we've learned that we're able to share, we're happy to. And then we're always looking from our partners to learn new ways of doing our work as well. Right now, Law Families really focus a lot on buying facilities. We're looking at buying apartments. We're looking at buying, at first I was really against apartments because they're occupied, and we're not in the business of kicking people out. So we are always looking for vacant properties. So we've been able to find some niche properties, and because of the relationship with a lot of landlords and property owners and the hospitality industry, in fact, a lot of hospitality groups actually own a lot of property. And so that took us a long time, but buying motels, buying other types of specialized property that are vacant is what we focus on. And like an affordable developer, but we use the products differently. So I use the same ingredients, but I use them in a different order. So in the upfront, we use private money and lender money to purchase the property and rehab the property. We only bring the government funds on the back end on the operation and the case management, but we don't use it for acquisition, and we don't use it for a rehab, because we found that the red tape, the delay, the cost gets out of control. And we had to learn this. It took us 30 years, becoming first a community-based social service, and then we didn't become a developer, affordable housing, supportive. We didn't become a supportive housing until the last 10 years, but we didn't become affordable house developers until about 30 years ago. And I'll stop with that. And then Carl could speak about his own experience, and how the systems that we built and the ones that he saw, how using that system, the way we designed it, helped him and where he's at now today.
Yeah, great. Thank you so much, Kathy. And yeah, Carl, you can take it away.
Hello, everyone. My name is Carl Phillips. I am born in Oakland, California. I am number 9 out of 10 siblings. But I'm gonna skip through all of that and just go by my experience and the things that I went through. I spent the majority of my life in prison. Okay. After the death of my 16-year-old daughter in 2012, I was lost. I was in prison when she got killed. I was lost. I came home in 2021. I lost him. I buried my son. After I buried my son, I was completely lost. Through the help of people, my probation, I found Loud Family, which helped me a lot. Loud Family is one of the things, it's like when you say Loud Family, it's like family. They helped me get over obstacles. They taught me a lot. They taught me how to live again. And they also taught me how to love myself. Without loving myself, I could never move forward. So I went through these trials and tribulations, and one of the biggest things I had to deal with was mental health. And mental health plays a role in people's lives to where if you don't get it, you will stay stuck. And I needed mental health bad. I needed to learn how to grieve, which I never did learn. I need to learn acceptance, which I did. And through the staff here, they helped me, they encouraged me, and I just kept moving on. But the best thing about this place is, about Lyle family, is it's a family. I mean, they help with jobs, banking, they play a part with mental health. You know, we have giveaways, bike giveaways, housing, multiple classes, relapse prevention, anger management. Just the best one I think is the mental health clinic that we have going on here, because that was most of us coming out of prison, coming out of jail. We are broken, and without the mental health clinic, a lot of us will still be lost. But we have this IDA account for the clients here that we matches their money to up to $1,000. If they put $1,000 in, we match that $1,000. We pay their first, last, and security deposit once they find a place. We are helping find a place, but they also can go out and find their own place. We do these things and we do it out of love. Me, what I do here is navigator. I'm more of a mentor because I know a lot of the guys here from prison. I know a lot of people from the street, and they see me and they see how I changed myself from where I used to be to where I'm at now. Life, you live life on life terms. You get out of it what you put into it. I put a lot into changing my life, and I put a lot into this campus because I want everyone to make it. Right now, like, we have 75 successful completions, and we have more on the way. I play a part in speaking to the young guys here through my experience, that I didn't did enough time to where they don't have to do it. Just follow the guidelines, just accept what Lyle family have to give, attend these meetings, work on your mental health, and everything will be all right. And we here for them. And I know they was here for me. I'm living proof they was here for me. And the staff, Kathy, Mai, Mimi, Anish, Denise, you know, they're my biggest supporters. They push me. They believe in me. And I haven't let them down. So the best thing about Lyle family is that if you want to change your life, if you want to start a new life, Lyle family is the place to do it. It's the beginning of a new life, and it'll change everything. If you want to get back into your family, you want your family to trust you again, you want to get back into your kids' life, Lyle family is here to help do all that. But you have to want that. So let's move on to how grateful I am. I'm so grateful for this place. I mean, years ago, we didn't have places like this. But this is one of the biggest housing reentry programs it is right now. And it's, for me, I'm grateful to be a part of it. I was here from day one when it first opened, and I continued. I did what I needed to do. I mean, they taught me my little classes. Lyle family provided me lots of trainings like CPR, sexual harassment, de-escalation, child abuse, cybersecurity, and others. They taught me many more things. And they here to help. So for the people that's out there, that's listening, and you may have people that need a place to go, let's start with Lao Family and let's see how far they can make it. And I believe if they come here, they do what they need to do with our support, which we support 102%, we will push them to get to where they want to be. So thank you. And everyone, we are here for you.
Thank you, Carl.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much, Carl. That was really beautiful, really inspiring. And like we did for San Diego, I think, Michelle, if you want to cover a couple of clarifying questions for the Lao Family Community Development folks, and then we can move into our more robust Q&A.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Kathy and Carl, for sharing all of that great information. We're getting a lot of positive feedback directly to us about that, so really appreciate it. Question for Kathy about your geographic reach and if Lao Family serves Contra Costa County, including Richmond and San Pablo.
Yes, absolutely. Mine's on the call too. We started in Contra Costa. So we have a care center that we're building in Contra Costa. So Contra Costa, Richmond, so all the whole Contra Costa. And we actually have we're the grantee for the AB 109 for the whole county, for housing for the whole county.
And actually, that's another question.
And Alameda County too, yeah.
Kathy, there's a question in here about AB 109. Are you able to explain that in a couple sentences?
Yes.
I know it's not that straightforward, but.
Well, to put it simply, AB 109 is Assembly Bill 109. And this was passed in California, and it's focused on individuals who are in the jail system, but who have been released to county jails, who are defined as the less violent population, and they're under supervision, under community supervision or of the probation department. So that's AB 109. So they have to come to us, referral to us from the probation department. They can find themselves to us, and then we can check to see if they're in the Tyler system for Alameda County. And it's a different system for Contra Costa County. The name of the system in Contra Costa. And then we can verify and we'll check with the probation department if they're qualified for that particular program.
Great, thank you so much.
And my contact information is going to be in the slides that I think Mahir and then we're going to send out. It has all of our phone number, but just www.lfcd.org, and that's our website.
Great, thanks, Kathy. Great, I think that was the other questions now are we're getting more into the substantive questions. So I'd like to just start directing those to our panelists. And thank you so much again, such an engaged group. We really have a lot of good questions here. And wanted to just start by saying, Carl, there are a lot of messages directly to you, thanking you for sharing your story and for playing such an important role in supporting others as well. I wanted to start by asking Dominique, one of the things that you had touched upon was community fear about your clients, and wanted to hear a little bit more about how you address this in terms of breaking down barriers around communication and understanding about the people that you're serving.
Yeah, I think the biggest piece for us is education, reminding people that just because someone has been charged with a crime does not mean that they actually did it, or maybe the severity of what they're being charged with isn't actually what happened. Also reminding people that, you know, we've met with these people, we've built relationships with them, and advocating for these organizations to give them a chance, because we do see the ability for them to be successful. We just need someone in the community to help work with them. So I think education is one of the biggest pieces. A lot of people don't understand the criminal justice system, and I get it, it's a lot to process. So I think that is a really helpful piece.
Great, thank you. I have a lot of questions here for all of you, but one question for you, Kathy, is request for information about some of the strategies you use to network with the smaller mom and pop landlords and bring them into partnership. And actually, maybe we can hear from both Kathy and Becky on that in terms of how you work specifically with smaller landlords.
So we work with small landlords from all 3 counties, Sacramento County, Contra Costa County, and also Alameda County, because here we're with the probation department, we have to stay within the county unless they're getting ready to exit, you know, from the supervision, they can move out. Then we also work with landlords in Solano County, in Yolo County, in Placer County, in San Francisco County, Santa Clara County, Marin County. So we actually work with a lot of landlords and employers from a lot of counties. And we do it in a very organic way. We have housing staff in different departments, in our victim service department, in our refugee department, in our AB 109 department. So we have like maybe close to 10 employees who are all working on housing. And we're working, and me too, I'm working on housing all the time. So it's like 7 days. Strategy is 7 days. And we're all out there all the time, working with churches, so faith-based organizations, with mosque. We're working with beauty salon owners, liquor store owners, hospitality, because we know that a lot of the hospitality groups who own motels, they start off with owning an apartment first before they move. It's kind of like monopoly. You know, before they were able to buy the motel, they had to buy a house first. So we know that the hospitality groups oftentimes have a lot of properties. And so we're always on the lookout constantly. And one of the strategies in different things that I've done is that I have the staff, I say, you know, go and be a customer first. Be a customer and don't be a partner yet. You know, be a customer first. Go buy your water, go buy your lunch from this taqueria, go to this grocery store, go get your nails painted at this nail salon, go get your hair cut over here, and get to know the owners. And then after you've engaged them and get to know the owners, then start talking about your organization and what you do, and the service that you're looking for and the housing that you're looking for. So it's a lot of introduction of one property owner to the next property owner, one CEO to the next one CEO of a hospitality group to the next, one Airbnb property owner to the next. So a lot of it is organic. We start with one and we build upon that. And then we go, like I said, is to the churches, to all the different owners of different property types of businesses. They end up having housing. And then we have one Lord be the reference to the next landlord. And that's how we're able to build our landlord network for the mom and pop. Of course, we have a different strategy that we use for affordable housing property owners, and a different strategy that we use for corporate property owners and public housing authorities.
Great, thank you. Becky, do you have anything that you would that you could share specifically about landlord engagement?
I would say our process is somewhat similar, actually. We have housing specialists specific to each of the programs. They work in a team of housing specialists that work across San Diego, our San Diego program. So their sole purpose is to engage with landlords, find new housing opportunities, and advocate for our clients. So they're out there kind of similarly, walking the streets, having those conversations with community members, going to community meetings to, get introduced to people. And then once we have some relationships, then it is kind of word of mouth, because a lot of the, especially like ILF or recovery residence owners, they all kind of know each other and kind of run in the same circles. And so we're able to establish new properties and new relationships that way.
Great, thank you. A follow-up question, a connected question for Kathy is, can you talk a little bit more about how Lau Family works with Airbnb for housing?
Sure. So it first started with our partners in Virginia, and they're in the same building, I believe, as Lyft and Airbnb. And Airbnb created an initiative to help refugees. And so, they made a commitment like $1 million a year for refugees. And then basically they had, if you sign up as an Airbnb host, for your property, when you sign up to put your property on the Airbnb platform, there's like a little box that you can check off that says, I want to be part of the refugee program in the nation. And so then they set aside, I think it was like $20,000 or $50,000 for Lau Family. And then we use the Airbnb for our refugee customers. And then we built we built upon that relationship.
Great, thank you. So one question, this is for Becky, is when do clients get referred? Is it after they receive their release date, or is it any time that they are in custody? And actually, I guess this could be for either Becky or Dominique.
So for us, it very much depends, because everyone is obviously arrested on different charges, and sometimes we don't know, and the sheriff's department doesn't necessarily know when they're going to be released. But so typically, I guess it depends. And that's where the collaboration piece comes in, because we definitely have some clients who are referred and are still going through their court process. And that's where communication with the public defender's office and their public defender can be helpful, because those clients may be released on like a mental health diversion or be able to be released once they're enrolled in the program. There have been times where we think that's going to happen and the judge goes the other way. And so we do at that point have to exit clients if they do receive a prison sentence. And then there's also clients that maybe are in for, small misdemeanors, and that's a quick turnaround. And so they're released, or they're referred to us, a couple days later, and we have to get out there quick to meet with them before they're released again. So it very much depends. And I think that's where that collaboration piece comes in.
Great, thank you. This is a question for Carl. Carl, can you speak a little bit more about the experience of going from being a participant to now being a staff person at Lau Family, and how that has worked in terms of how you best support the folks that you work with?
First, I had to work on my mental health. So what I did, I went to therapy. I've been hypnotized. I get hypnotized to work through my trauma. And like I said, it was hard for me to learn how to grieve. And that was holding me back. And then I didn't believe in myself. I didn't love myself. But through therapy, I began to learn how to grieve. I've learned how to love myself and realize that there's something out there better. So when I was here, I started going to substance abuse, second chance substance abuse, and I started taking classes. And by me living here, I was looking at it, now I like to work for them. So I kept coming into the office every time I come back, and I just kept going. can I work here? Can I keep going? So they gave me a chance. They worked around my little school schedule. And then it just like spiraled to where I started like giving back. And each time I gave someone some knowledge, the better I felt. So I started giving more back, more back, more back. And I started reaching out to the people because a lot of people that I know that came through here, they're now older. They knew my daughter. So it's a lot of young guys here that's now up to age that knew my daughter. And I was telling them, they look at me, oh, you're not doing, no, I changed. I changed everything about me. First of all, I had to come out my comfort zone. Prison was my comfort zone. I knew how to do time in prison. I didn't know how to live on the street. I really didn't. Lao family gave me that opportunity to learn how to live on the street. But as far as the comfort zone, it's scary. It was scary at first because I didn't know what to expect. Half my life was in prison. I didn't know what to expect. But they made me so comfortable here and pushed me and said, you can do whatever you want to do. We're here to help. And they helped me. And as far as the IDA account, as far as putting the money in and they match your money, a bank don't even match your money right off top. So that was one of the great things. So I was first started putting money in the account. Okay. So I kept saying, I want to work. I want to work here. They gave me the opportunity. Now I live on site. So I'm here 24/7 and I'm always out there with the guys here. Like I tell them, I'm no better than you. I come from the same place. So if you want to make it, take advantage of this program. We are here to help you, not harm you. But first, you need to deal with what you need to deal with first, and that's your mental health. You got to figure out what got you broken. You got to figure out where you want to go. And without mental health, without seeing therapists, you can't get there, especially if you're coming out of situations, prisons, jails, and broken homes. You have to have mental health. You have to have a therapist to get over that hump. And that's what we're here for. We have mental health here. They come here, they talk to the clients, and that's great. A lot of them starting to see, because these things, they'll tell them that they won't tell us. And there's a lot of things they'll tell me that they won't tell the other staff, like they case managers. They'll tell me something that they won't tell their case managers. And that's why I feel like I'm a great part of this Lao family, because then I can relate that to the case manager. This is the avenue you need to go with this person for it to get it. They embarrassed, they scared, they don't know you coming out of here, they never lived by themselves. That's all new on their comfort zone. They out of it now. And in order to get comfortable, you got to come out of that comfort zone to make yourself comfortable.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, thank you. It sounds like a lot of the things you're talking about in terms of just the real wraparound support seem to be incredibly important. Going back to San Diego, you had both talked about potential housing placement options being with family and friends, and wondering if you have ever utilized any sort of additional financial support for those family and friends that may be assisting people coming out of custody, if you have access to any sort of like flexible spending or anything like that.
Who's the question for, Michelle?
That was for Becky and Dominique. That was because that was something that they specifically mentioned.
So for us, the way our organization does funding, we are not able to necessarily pay a family member for rent. So we try to be creative. So can we make sure that that family has groceries? Can we make sure, there's a bed, other things that would be helpful to the family or to our client in order for them to stay in that housing, utility bills, things like that. But we can't, in order to pay actual rent, we need some sort of like a lease and all sorts of documents. So we can't do that for family, but we can try and be creative other ways.
Great.
For us, I was just gonna say, we don't have any funding that we have access to, but we will try and communicate with the family when we can and support them, find out if there's any other resources or supports that we can try and have in place to support them alongside of them helping their son or daughter, whatever family member it is. So we try to make sure the supports are in place if we can too.
Great. Kathy, do you want to respond to that? Do you have a?
Sure. Well, for our program with Contra Costa, one thing I loved about the program with Contra Costa is that it's a learning lab. We're learning as we're going. And Mimi, our staff, share with the probation officers that actually rooms for rent is really important step. And if we can find outside family members and we can verify that they're the owners of the property or that they're the tenant, then we help to create a room rental agreement because that's really important as a step so that they're not homeless on the street and in their car or at the RV shelter. So rooms for rent, so Contra Costa Probation Department allowed that. And then for our Alameda County, we primarily use outside providers like clean living environments, sober living environments. There are property owners who have property that they rent by rooms. So we have to teach our customers how to, and we have, before we exit them, we have to look at the lease agreement that they're going to be signing with the landlord. The staff have to do a budget that they don't pay more than 35% of their income. And the flexible money, we design our program, all of them, that we bill in about $4,500 per customer to $5,000 per customer as a startup fund. Really, really critical for permanent housing as the startup fund. You need the security deposit, you need the first month rent, and depending on their credit, we might also bill in 2 to 3 extra months of advance rent. It's to create the stability for them so that if they go from full-time work or part-time work, then they come over to us and we help them get a second job. And the majority of the people, this is the sad part, which is why the strategic training is so critical. The majority of people in our program over there in Oakland, about half, are working 2 jobs. They have a job that's $25 an hour, and then they have another job that's $20 an hour. So everyone that exits, they come in with 0 income, but when they exit, their annual income is between $40,000 to $115,000 a year, because that's 2 jobs. And that's a union job and a non-union job. And their rent, when they exit, we put them into rentals that are between $750 a month to $1,500 a month. At the most, it was $2,000 because there's another income earner. So we have to make sure, is there another income earner when you exit? We don't want to have them bounce back to homelessness if you put them into housing that's too expensive for them in terms of a percentage of their monthly income.
Thank you. A few participants have asked specifically about how, for each program, how you meet the housing needs of people who are on the 290 or sex offense registry and or the arson registry, because obviously there's some additional barriers in place there.
I would say for us, this is one of our biggest challenges. There is not much, unfortunately. We have tried to build relationships with independent living facilities that will take 290 or arson registrants. We have found some are more willing than others. Some have been open to taking case by case situations where we'll advocate. Maybe the conviction was 20, 30 years ago. How can we help the ILF support this person because there hasn't been any other convictions in years? So we try to educate as well, advocate. Programs, there's not a lot that we use. Unfortunately, on our end, we have very little resources as of right now for those registrants, unfortunately.
We use primarily independent living facilities. So we'll, through just our relationships, we'll be able to house clients there. And then it's working for them to be able to sustain that. That may be their permanent housing solution. And so it's getting their income up enough to be able to afford that and stay. There's also a couple SRO buildings in San Diego that, for better or worse, don't do background checks. And so with our relationships with those buildings, we've been able to house clients there as well.
And for Lao family, we also, for our program, for our eligibility, 290s and arson registrants are not groups that we serve. But the one thing that's really great about Alameda County Probation Department is that they have about 99 organizations that they subcontract to. So they were able to find another organization that can accommodate this, that can accommodate this. And I've been very intrigued about this whole gap. And there's a program in Penelope's County in Florida that everyone there is a former registered sex offender. It's a really interesting property. And so there's been a lot of people who have contacted me wanting me to go visit Florida to do a diversion center, to create a diversion center and a 290 project. So I think it's there's definitely a gap and something to think about. If somebody else is interested, we could talk about it for the future. Because we do have a lot of landlord relationships that go down to San Diego and to Los Angeles and Long Beach, because these groups that we work with, they own actually all over the United States. But San Diego, Ensenada, down in that the Valley, Orange County, Los Angeles, they have properties down there too.
Right. Well, I just want to say thank you so much. This has been just wonderful hearing from all of you. And thank you to all of the participants who have asked so many great questions. Just as a reminder, you can reach out to us with follow-up questions at clsi@homebasecccc.org. We do have a newsletter that you can sign up for. And then Mihira is putting a few things in the chat about our report and our contact information. And just again, we will be sending out copies of the slides. We will be sending out a recording, and definitely we'll make sure to share contact information, because I know that was a frequent request that we heard from folks. And again, a huge thank you to all of our panelists for sharing your expertise and your experience. And thank you to everyone for joining us today. Take care.